You'll hear the fan. I got the fan on, but I think you can still hear me. Come and worship. Inspired out of Deuteronomy 31. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the foreigners residing in your towns. Assemble them for what? As they sang praise songs together in the multi-generational worship service, many experienced joy and peace, but not a frazzled mother. As she jiggled her baby who was on the verge of crying, she held the song book for her 5-year-old while trying to stop her toddler from running off. Then an older gentleman sitting behind her offered to walk the toddler around the church, and a young woman motioned that she could hold the songbook for the eldest child. Within 2 minutes, the mother's experience was transformed, and she could exhale, close her eyes, and worship God. God has always intended that all his people worship him, men and women, old and young, longtime believers and newcomers. As Moses blessed the tribes of Israel before they entered the promised land, he urged them all to meet together, men, women, and children, and the foreigners residing in your towns, so that they could listen and learn to fear the Lord. So that they could listen and learn to fear the Lord your God, and to follow his commands. Deuteronomy 31. It honors God when we make it possible for his people to worship him together, no matter our stage of life. That morning at church, the mother, the older gentleman, and the young woman each experienced God's love through giving and receiving. Perhaps the next time you're at church, you too could either extend God's love through an offer of help, or you could be the one accepting the act of grace. How have you experienced the body of Christ as encompassing many generations and people groups? How have you given and received God's love while at church? Loving Jesus, you long that all people would feel welcomed when they come to worship you. Help us to be those who notice others and reach out in love. Not a bad commentary there, but I'm going to say this is going to sound kind of dividing, but it's pro-church, pro-building. Okay? Nothing wrong if you want to go to church, that's your thing, that's fine. But everything said here can be done outside of the assembly of God's people. It's nice for everyone to get together and learn and pray together. And this is, like I said, this organization here that writes these, it's a pro-church thing. They're all about the building and going and all that, and that's good. But what it said here, the older gentleman sitting behind her offered to walk the toddler around the church, and a young woman motioned that she could hold the songbook for the eldest child. Within 2 minutes, the mother's experience was transformed, and she could exhale, close her eyes, and worship God. Well, maybe she could focus on it. But the idea that she had to have all this, to me it seems like too physical a thing. Well, I just can't worship God right now because I got to try to control all of these kids. That's really not the case. He's in the middle of it with you. But these people take the kids off her hands in a sense, so she can now worship God. Okay. Whatever. Anyhow, that's just me being picky. Come and worship. No, you can just worship. You have to go anywhere. If you want to, if it's available to you, a church setting, and it's a good church, that's great. You can just worship. You have to go anywhere. Love you. God bless.